Adaptation is so many things, and this is where we say context matters. So adaptation could range from making sure that a road is strong enough, such that if there's just more rain than usual, the road is still there when the rain stops, and so that is it's kind of strengthening infrastructure that can withstand extreme weather and climate change risks, so climate risks. But also adaptation is just, it could be also just knowledge, such as letting people know that the rainfall seasons are just not the same anymore, telling people that when you see the first rain of the season, that's not the beginning of the rain. Usually these days there's the first rain and then it goes away for another 2 or 3 weeks, and then there's another rain, and then eventually 4 weeks later, that's when you get the actual rain. Um, you know, Knowledge could also be something such as helping people understand that there's a new wave of pests and diseases that are coming up because insects are migrating from a certain place to a certain place because this place is much warmer, or it's rainier, and so it's attracting a certain type of pests or diseases. But also adaptation could be, supporting people who are affected by droughts and giving them drought resistant seeds, or having people who've been affected by floods and moving them to a different place because the floods are just too much, or people in small island developing states who are having their area, their homes eroded, and thinking about how can we put up barriers to prevent the coastal erosion, or in some cases thinking about, is moving these people an option, speaking to them and asking them, is that something you want to do? And so adaptation is so many things, but usually it has to be informed by those people who are affected. And so when you're thinking about the international level, people who are affected are the countries, right? When you think about the national level, people who are affected are the local governments or the regional governments. And then when you think about the local level, you have to think about communities or households. And so it's kind of a very scaled approach. The more you go down, the more your subject changes. But then policy at the COP26, we expect that it feeds back up so that we have household discussions where a husband and a wife or children contribute towards what they want. And then that opinion is taken to the local government, to the local council, and that person says, my household thinks like this. And then the local government takes it to the national government and says that most people in my place think this. And then that is taken to the COP. And so it's supposed to feed back up. But we cannot be prescriptive about what adaptation means, because there's so many ways. And in most cases you find that a community is experiencing more than one risk. So in January they have floods, in February they have locusts coming in and eating all their crops, and then sometime in June there's just a very, very, very long drought or a dry spell. And so and then there's seasonal diseases. You find that communities are experiencing more than one risk, and so you cannot have one option for them to adapt. You have to combine. It's like treating an illness using a combination of measures, because it's much more complex than that. And so there's examples of communities adapting. There's also examples of countries adapting, and you can find so many examples of that.